Will this one income ETF make me rich? Today we're talking about ticker BLOX. And if you are a fan of cryptocurrencies, this is for you. Not only does it pay weekly, but it also has a growth aspect to it that we're going to check out, which is absolutely amazing. And I wish more funds were like it. I do think this one is underrated, but it ties heavily to crypto. So if you're a fan of crypto in the long run, this might be the income ETF for you. So we're going to look at a couple things: the dividend yield, how much money it's actually made so far since the inception of the fund a couple months ago. And we're going to throw all those details into a calculator and see how much money it could make if it continued that trend for 10, 20, even 30 years. Now, I hope you guys enjoy. If you're interested in investing content, primarily with ETFs, you are in the right place. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe so you never miss out on all the free investing content and we can continue to grow our portfolios together. Let's roll that intro. One thing already that sets BLOX apart from a lot of the other ETFs is that it pays on Monday. Right now, there are only two weekly payers that pay on Monday: BLOX and MAGY from Roundhill. Both very solid funds. I will be making some MAGY content very soon because it's been cooking, but BLOX is a really interesting one. So fund summary basically states that it's going to provide exposure to blockchain technology and enhance income and portfolio diversification. Now, it's going to do that with a number of ways, but it does not directly invest in Bitcoin, ETH, or other assets, digital assets, which is very interesting. It's going to invest through ETFs, through ETPs, and even through just holding related companies to the industry of cryptocurrency. And so when we slide down here, the website's very good, by the way. They did a phenomenal job. I only say that because I made my own website and it's pretty ugly. But Bitcoin and ETH plus crypto industry companies plus weekly income equals BLOX. Very simple. I originally called this out. I said people should make a growth ETF that also combines income. I think it's a phenomenal idea. I think it defeats the whole NAV erosion and doesn't focus so heavily on these insane yields of like 80, 90, 100%. And you can get some growth and get a dividend at the same time. And then what you can do is drip. And that's the ultimate factor with drip, is you'd make a decent amount of money, especially if the fund can grow at a consistent rate. Now, did Nicholas Wealth, did X funds watch my video and steal that idea? Probably not. If they did, send me a check for 50 million. We'll call it even. No harm done. But I do want to say that I think it's so interesting that its primary objective is to seek capital appreciation. That's amazing. Capital appreciation as the primary investment objective. That's crazy. And it's a weekly payer. The fund's secondary investment objective is to seek current income. Now, I will say we've seen weekly payers slow down, not in their returns, but the amount being created. We now have almost, 55 to 60 of these, but they have slowed down a lot. And I think the market stall has kind of slowed that down as well. But I hear through the grapevine that we will have some new ones coming out relatively soon. So we have some key facts that we have to talk about. Expense ratio, 1.03%. A little bit high. And I always say you can have a high expense ratio as long as you have a really high total return. And I live by that. I'm okay with it. I don't love paying more, but I will if you're making me a lot of money. Net assets are also a little bit low at 30.61 million. Net assets is also AUM. So we've seen a lot of other ETFs grow very quickly. And I don't think BLOX is going too slow. 30 million is very impressive for the time it's been out, but it's not some massive ETF. We can also slide down. There's a bunch of info that I want to share with you guys. We can see the last distribution. We've seen they pay out roughly 14 to 16 cents. The last one was really, really big, which is very, very solid. The fund isn't terribly expensive, but I mean, if you're focusing on only income, it's probably not the fund for you. Like I said, you want to get that growth as well. And we're going to look at the yield too. So don't get worried. Don't get worried. And now we're going to talk about the top 10 holdings. So we have Robinhood Markets, which is HOOD, a very popular fund right now. Galaxy Digital, Hut 8. We have Coinbase, Nvidia, Riot, Block, Taiwan Semiconductors, Mara, Strategy. So there's a lot. There's a lot of big names in here. I mean, MSTR, Mara, Block itself is in here. Riot, Coinbase, which took a dip. Oh my goodness, destroyed my COIW position. That was one of my better returning weekly payers, and it cooked it. It's down like 31%, a bummer. And then we have Robinhood. So like I stated, I think these are a really interesting, they're an interesting underlying because they're higher risk, I would say, because crypto is always going to have higher implied volatility. I don't think it really matters what AUM, what overall investment money goes into crypto as a whole, because you have an asset like Bitcoin, but then you also have the smaller altcoins, tons of stuff like that. I'm not big into crypto. I just like it overall, and I usually like it with these ETFs rather than buying, the actual digital assets. But it's an interesting way of doing things. Top 10 holdings. Um, and it says right here that the ETF blocks gives investors both exposure to Bitcoin and ETH through US listed ETFs and ETPs and combines growth potential of the blockchain with income stream of options overlay. Very, very solid. Tons of good stuff on here. Fact sheet, prospectus. Check it out. I'm not going to dive too deep into it. I have done one video on this already, but let's see that dividend history. The ETF is sitting at $22.60. We have seen 7 payments so far, ranging from 14 cents up to almost 16, and then back down to 15 and up to 16 again. Now you can see all the way through, even not quite to 16, just under 16, but very, very consistent and very impressive. It's paid out $1.07 per share since the inception, so we can do a very quick and easy yield calculation, but I wanted to keep your attention, so I already did it. So what we can see is, you see a bunch of numbers on here. I took all of the dividends, which total up to $1.07, divided by 7 total payments to get our average. Then I took that, multiplied by 52, because it's going to pay out 52 times a year. I took that number and I divided it by the current price, which is 22 something dollars. And then I multiplied that by 100 to get our percentage of 35.17% as a dividend, which is amazing. And I know what you're thinking. Ulti pays 80, Misty pays 100. Yeah, but they don't have the growth aspect that BLOX has. And so I think it would also hold up better in a down market, depending on what crypto is doing. Now, like I said, crypto could tank, and it would really, really hurt this ETF. It would really hurt it. But I do think it would bounce back eventually. I'm not one of those people that thinks crypto is going to die one day and no one will ever talk about it again. I think it has use cases beyond what people understand, and I am a massive fan. I wasn't always that way. I wasn't a hater, but I wasn't really sure about the use cases. And now after doing some research, and let's be real, watching some commercials, I realized there's a lot to go on with crypto. So if you haven't heard the commercial story, it was a groundbreaking moment for me, but I'm not going to tell it again. So I'm really curious what you guys think. Is a 35% yield good enough if you're also getting some growth? Let me know in the comments, and we're going to throw this into a drip calculator and see what our total returns have been so far. So with it in the drip calculator, we can see you've gotten $1.07 so far in dividends, a total return of 22.46%. And now that's just from June. So we can't really base a lot on just those the 2 months of trading and 7 dividends. But for this video, we're going to. So I do think it's important to note that it's all assumptive, but it's actually amazing. If it continued on this pace, which is it going to do? We don't know. It's not likely. I mean, maybe they crack the code and it's just a phenomenal ETF, but that would be an annualized gain of 138.92% with dividends reinvested, which is outstanding. Like, that's crazy. Like I said, is it going to? Who knows? But I love doing these videos on it and showcasing how it has been performing. And with crypto going up, going down, high implied volatility, some decent dividends on top of the growth aspect, it's really, really solid. I think it's up quite decently just in price. Look, let's check it out. Boom. It is up 17, almost 18% in just the price aspect alone. Absolutely amazing. So we're going to throw this into a drip calculator and let's see exactly how much money we'd make and if this one crypto ETF that pays me every single week is going to make me rich. So we've got everything plugged in for BLOX. Our 10K is going to get us 442.5 shares. Holding period is 1 year so far. Expected dividend yield is that 35%. Now, I'm not going to factor in on top of that the growth aspect. I know what you're thinking. It really makes these calculations insane, like trillionaire style insane. So we're just going off of the yield that we've seen. So let's say, even though they are trying to get growth for the most part, we do see a 35% yield consistently, and growth comes and goes. I know if you disagree with that, let me know in the comments, but we are an income focused channel. I don't want to try and calculate only the growth and not focus on the yield a little bit here. I'm also not contributing anything annually. So we're starting with our 10K. Our dividend tax rate 0. We'll say we invested all primarily in a Roth IRA, and drip is on. So after 1 year, your end balance is $14,155, a 41.55% return because of that drip. Now, also, if you're noticing the distribution frequency is bi-monthly, TipRanks doesn't have a weekly aspect, a weekly option. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, use Market Beats. Market Beats calculator was wrong. I ran it, it was wrong. And I've had that happen multiple times. And so I'm no longer comfortable using it. It kicks out numbers that are way too high, even if you do very simple mathematics. So I'm not interested. So we're using TipRanks from here on out. Now we can see, very impressive. You're getting almost $5 grand annually, and boom, You're reinvesting that, you're making more money. We kick it up to 5 years. We now have $56,826.19. Basically, we're super rich. I mean, name 100 people that have that much money. So I think this is super cool to see how the growth aspect takes over with drip, because it is going to continue to make us more and more money because we're dripping. And if you don't know what drip is, it's dividend reinvestment, meaning every dividend we get is going back into blocks. So then our next payment is that much bigger because we've invested more. Now, after 5 years, our annual dividend income moving forward is now going to be almost $20,000. Total dividends paid out $46,800. Absolutely amazing. Let's keep going. 10 years, our 10K, holy smokes, is now $322,905. Now, do you guys understand why I didn't want to factor in a 10% growth rate as well? Because these numbers are already absolutely crazy. But I love to see it. Now we are actually getting $111,000 a year annually. Our total dividend payments are $313,000. I could probably live off $110,000 a year. Do you guys think you could? Especially in retirement. I don't know what the world's going to be like in 10 years. If I can't live off $110,000, I'm going to be very disappointed. And a lot of us are going to be very poor. Probably just me, actually. Kicking it up to 20 years. Still absolutely nuts. $10.5 million. Now we're going to have to live off $3.6 million. I can do that. I know you guys can too. Don't lie. Total dividends payouts is $10.5 million, just under $10.5 million. But wow, this is just crazy. The potential. Now, again, I'm going to get comments about it. Are we thinking it's going to do this? No, I'm not. I guarantee we're going to have some really bad markets, some really good markets. It's going to be very volatile. Who knows what it'll do? Who knows how the ETF is going to function? But this is just for fun and showcasing the power of drip with blocks and how we've seen it perform. Don't come for me in the comments and say it's unrealistic. I know it is, but it's still fun to look at. So also don't go, oh, I'm putting all my money into blocks because I'll be a millionaire in 20 years, because it's probably not going to happen. Who knows? Maybe you will. And if you are, congrats. Send me some money. So 30 years. Let's say you are 30, you want to retire at 60, and you put 10K into blocks and you just forgot about it. You had drip turned on, you never went back. How would you fare? Could you retire? Could we live off of that? Let's find out. Also, it's in a Roth IRA, so all of this is tax-free. Bada boom, bada bing. Yeah, we're going to be okay. $336 million. That compounding is absolutely amazing, and it's why I'm a massive fan of dividend investing. Total dividend payments, $336 million. Annual dividend income is $116 million. If we can't live off that in 30 years, we're all cooked. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown on blocks, on investing 10K, on the actual dividend yield that we've seen, again, about 35%. This income ETF that pays every single week is very interesting to me, and I think income investors are going to like what they see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And as always, thank you so much. We are almost to 28,000 subscribers, which blows my mind. If you like this video, check out these popping up on your screen right now, including my 3 ETF portfolio focusing on income with absolutely zero NAV erosion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.